And now, for our next speaker, please welcome Roanna Pollock.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking the Odawa and Potawatomi tribes for stewarding these lands we are gathered on. This area was inhabited, not discovered, and I'm honored to be speaking here today. I'd also like to acknowledge the many people who have helped me to get this far. To all my teachers, especially Mr. Ripstra, Ms. J, and Mrs. Corbin, thank you for sparking my interest and helping them grow. I know all of us sitting here as students have at least one teacher to thank for shaping us into the people we are today. I encourage you all to let that person know the impact they've had on you. To my parents and siblings, thank you for being my brain dump outlets and sources of inspiration. Thank you to my friends who gave me a safe space to be misfits together. And to you, class of 2021, my companions on this journey, congratulations. We made it through the year, and what a crazy year it has been. I mean, what other graduating class not only enjoyed, but also specifically requested to be physically present in the classroom? But in all seriousness, we've had to deal with social distancing, masking, Google Meets, canceled events, changed plans, and a general atmosphere of uncertainty. All the while, our country and the world face crisis after crisis and loss after loss. A charged election and impeachment, an economic recession, the Australian wildfires, the murder of George Floyd and the subsequent trial, a spike in acts of racism and hate crime. Oh yeah, and a global pandemic. Checking the news became the thing to do when you just felt too happy and needed a quick spiral into frustration and helplessness. I don't know about you, but I had several days when all I wanted to do was stay in pajamas, eat comfort food, and play Among Us. I barely had the mental capacity to get dressed and check into class, and I certainly didn't feel like I had enough energy to follow the news cycle. It was so easy and tempting to just shut down and shut the world out. But it was in those times that I thought of what my grandparents would say. My grandparents were a comedic duo who liked to find humor in everyday life. Out of the blue, my grandpa would remark, "I think the two biggest issues in the world right now are ignorance and apathy. What do you think?" And without missing a beat, my grandma would reply, "I don't know and I don't care." The beauty of their humor was that it allowed them to comfortably confront the uncomfortable truth, and they were absolutely right. It's impossible to fix a problem if we don't acknowledge and value its existence. And I think inherently most of us know this to be true. Why then do we persist in turning a blind eye to the issues and injustices around us? I believe it is because the perspectives we bring and the lenses we use to analyze the world are missing critical aspects. When I was young, I loved 3D picture books, especially the ones with sharks. I remember one time when I tried to look at the pictures without the tinted glasses. It was a mess of overlapping lines, blurred colors, and it became a headache-inducing experience. But as soon as I put the glasses back on, I could see clearly. While it's not a perfect analogy, I think it's quite similar to taking in the news. Many of us find it chaotic and painful to confront local and global events head-on, so we look away. What we lack are the lenses of humility, empathy, curiosity, and compassion that allow us to see the three-dimensional beauty of nuance. We get so caught up in understanding an issue that we forget to understand the people. We take shortcuts to make life easier, seeing in binary terms, picking sides, making prejudgments, but these only result in cutting out the complexities and subtleties. In the end, we've cut out so much that we can't truly see each other, connect with one another, care for each other. Without nuance, we can only see the chaotic, confusing sprawl of two dimensions, but it doesn't have to be this way. We can choose to change our perspective, and we can choose to see past the binaries. Seeing nuance keeps us from discrediting something simply because we have not experienced it. It's what allows us to look at fellow humans and believe them when they say they are hurt. It's the thing that transforms inquisitors into empaths and skeptics into advocates. A person with nuance can say, I don't know what that is like, but I believe you. Nuance keeps us from making snap judgments and assumptions without investigation. It's what lets us say, I don't know and I may never know, but I will keep looking for answers because what impacts you is important to me. And in our journey to find answers, nuance keeps us from sifting through the news and cherry-picking examples that validate our preconceived opinions. Nuance gives us the power to hold two pieces of seemingly contradictory evidence, because we can finally see beyond black and white, past the clean-cut binaries to the multicolored spectrums and even the most polar paradox. We may be uncomfortable with what we see, and it may not make complete sense, but we can finally see the full three-dimensional picture and begin to understand it. And I acknowledge that I'm asking a lot of us to step into this space of vulnerability and see the world as layered and complex, and to do it over and over again, because this is not a one-and-done process. Nuance is a lifestyle that we must consciously opt into every day. Every morning we can choose to put on these lenses and stay curious, humble, and empathetic. The initial discomfort may feel as illogical as investing in cryptocurrency, but this is an investment that guarantees payoff. When we see issues for what they are, see people for who they are, the good, the bad, the complexities, the nuance, we take the first steps towards understanding, and we can begin to make things better. We can find nuanced solutions and build true unity, not based around our sameness, but in the interplay of our many colors and dimensions. So class of 2021, as we turn the page to the next chapter of our lives, whether it's to university, the working world, trade school, the military, or your parents' basement, I challenge us to observe and act out of humility and compassion, keeping our eyes open, our hearts soft, and our arms willing to embrace the beautiful, layered, three-dimensional nuances of life. Thank you.